intelligence as approach to the past, something that was in the past, and some people say that analytics in the future. For me, it's the same things. I'm the country opener for different technological organizations here in Spain and Italy, and I'm the organizer of the Data Management Summit. Thank you, George, for joining. Thank you, guys, for joining. It's all.
Javier?
Yes, hello, everybody. My name is Javier. I have been working in data analytics, I think, when I started my career, because I was just calculating all kinds of KPIs from the beginning. I have become a director of BI in different companies. I have been also a BI consultant. I made some ETLs. I faced all kinds of problems. I'm very focused right now in analytics, in data science, and in the new industry, okay, to explore all the new data factories and all these kind of things. So thank you very much for having me.
And Prity?
Hi.
Or Gigi?
Okay, so for me it's very easy. I'm an Italian journalist. I'm passionate about technology. I'm not a coder, so I'm not so technician, but I have experience on telling the stories and the experience of the companies. So this my point of view is above the technicians is about business.
Beautiful.
I can
Yes,
go.
Prity. Thank you.
Yes, sure. It's Prity here, Prity Padhy. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Cognino AI. We are kind of an AI first organization. We don't only work on deep side of the artificial intelligence. But I'm no new into data world. I've been doing data space for last 25 odd years. Many years at Microsoft. I was the one of the founding team member for Microsoft account, which you use on a daily life, I think. So that's where my data journey started, and worked on something called Cosmos DB, which is a cloud data sets that Microsoft sells. So I know very much about master data, big data, small data. You talk about all sort of data. So hopefully I can contribute something in this space, and how we can use a new way using artificial intelligence to do data management, perhaps. So that could be my contribution here.
Thank you so much. Why don't we go into the questions, and obviously anybody can pitch in and give their take on it. And as you do, if you haven't introduced yourself, you can do so before you start answering the question. So let's go into the first one. And that's really, what do you think there are some of those current barriers that are still being faced by the advanced analytics department? Who wants to take a first stab at it?
Yeah, I can answer if you want. Undoubtedly, the presence of information silos is in the company. The lack of the proactive and non-reactive data governance is one of the barriers. The poor data culture, there is in a lot of organization, because when in organization they think that data is something that is in IT domain, this is the most important problem. I think data is the value of the company, and this is the most important barrier to facing a good analytics department, but not only analytics, data management in general. This is my opinion.
I agree with Michele. Okay, and I would like to add, for example, a good definition. I think that there is a lack of knowledge between the business part and the technician part. Okay, so this lack of knowledge is not making that the people who should push this kind of project are not doing so. So for me, this lack of knowledge is, for me, it's a huge problem and a great barrier. And the other is the getting data ready to be analyzed, because when we are talking about analytics, they are perhaps very kind on analyzing and creating new models, but not managing all the data. So there is always, and we need more profiles to be to be complementary, and a fear of change. I think that we have always a resistance about changes, and of course, when you have a data analyst project in your company, and this project is success, all decisions are changing, and I think that this is a bit of fear about this.
So I think that I see that there is Stefano too. That Stefano, present you and present you. And,
Thank you. But well, I'm data governance manager with 25 years of experience in strategy, digital transformation, and analytics, and so on. And let's start with the question of George. I think that the barriers are technological and organizational. So technological expertise, data problem, quality of data, issue of privacy, performance, machine, something like that. Organizational, I think the main problem is communication. So it's understanding what is the real problem, what is really important for the business. I think this is the main question. Then, yes, there are other issues. For example, the variety. No, you have volume, variety, velocity. I think that variety is the main issue. I have a lot of information, and you need to understand where to start. So this is the main barrier, the main challenge to be solved.
That's a great answer, Stefano. Thank you so much. And this is something that's really affecting advanced analytics as well. Gigi?
Yeah. I think it's so true. So true, but I think that there are something that break these barriers. I think about rules or regulatory or so on. They're coming from above us, and they start to change in all the companies, and they start to changing the way they think about the business. So they are changing the business model with the GDPR here in Europe and so on, or PSD2, and this is a good point because it involves the C-levels. The C-levels, they put some goals. They have some goals, and they have to respect some goals to all the guys in the company. So this is a good point. And this breaks the barriers, because there are a lot of barriers. There are barriers about people, about organization, about processes, about training about new features, new tools. So there are a lot of problems, but I want to think about the breaking the barriers, because this is a key point, I think.
Absolutely. We'll definitely. Prity?
So I think my point would be that the data is no more a linear scenario. It is exponential. The growth of data that we are seeing, we were talking about it in a far distance phenomenon, big data and all that. But if you see last year, those who were non-digital company are now digital company, whether they like it or not, because they had to move into digital world. And what is that going to produce is you can't create analytics as another department or an organization or something. You are in parallel. If you are a brick and mortar shop yesterday, now you are competing with Amazon. And what is Amazon is? Amazon is all about data. They do not do anything without measuring every data they produce. And if you want to be Amazon, which is every second company ended up, whether they liked it or not, they have pushed into this world. So you must think analytics is not another thing, another department and the chief data officer's responsibility. It is almost everybody's responsibility. You need to find data and measure data and take decision on the basis of data all the time across your business. That's how I see is whether you have barrier or not. It starts at of course, like Gigi said, it's a people, process, technology, everywhere the barriers are there. But the companies don't have choice, rather innovate in this space going forward. Otherwise, they will not be relevant. And the data is only going to exponentially grow. I had an experience, some companies who moved everything into cloud, but they can't find out where the information is now. Forget about creating analytics. They can't find what they moved into cloud. So the challenge is exponential, and it needs to be thought through, not as a one group of people or one practice in an organization. You need to think as a holistic challenge, led by the CEO of the company, because he or she or the organization needs to be data led. That means analytics led. That's how I see it. And so it is a reimagination of your business post COVID. It will happen, and it ought to happen. That's how I see it.
That's a really great point, which is defined as the ability to read, understand, create, and communicate with data as information. And companies such as Udemy, which is a big an online education platform, they're sort of treating, not all of them are data scientists, but they're providing them with the internal knowledge to be able to do their own data exploration if they choose to do so. So it is definitely very interesting. And everybody that's watching and listening in, if you like to chime in on this, please let us know. And if you resonate with any of these answers, put in a comment. I know I'm finding myself in a lot of the answers that were provided, which is, well, neither good or bad, but kind of gives us an idea of how the world is laid out there. So that being said, we know advanced analytics, data science is really still, it's very important. It's somewhere where we already need to be, but we're not. So a lot of companies still don't have that adoption. They don't have the appetite for it. So what do you think that a company could do, an organization could do to gain that business adoption for advanced analytics projects? Even those that do have a department, it's hard for them to get in that pitch in and convince management that, you know what, you should invest in this project. We should invest resources in advanced analytics. And management is still reticent on doing so. So how do you think we could, what do you think we could do to gain that business adoption? What have companies done?
Yeah, I think that the data governance is the good driver for this, because imagine some companies need to be to switch and try not complex process in data governance for compliance regulation. For example, in the bank in Europe there is Basilea, and in assurance there is solvency. All the people know in Europe GDPR, and they have started to adopt some data governance. If you can organize your data, if you can manage your data, it's more easy to make try to adopt decision. So you need, first of all, I think, to drive a sort of data portal for the companies, with all the analysts can access the data. But to do that, you need to have a data governance process. It's not because at the end, all the people speak about the democratized data, but it's not so easy because the complaints in the middle. This is my opinion.
Stefano, what do you think? You're a data governance expert.
I was really interested in this question because initially I didn't understood your question, but this is my field, so I think that more than advanced analytics project, that you have to identify the impact of your initiative. So you should be able to establish a business case identify what is the return of your project, independently if it's analytics or other project or business intelligence. Then you should have, for example, try to use indicator as the ROI, or the business value index, in terms that you should be able to connect what is your metrics and understand how the metrics produced by the data science project serve the business processes, in order to understand how this metric fits the business process and how it can evolve. So you can use metrics for measure the value of data, fundamentally. Or if you are able to do it, you should be able to measure your investment in the term of the cost of the project with the results in terms of sales, of how it contributes to the project. This indirectly, but if you consider directly, you can identify, for example, if your data science experiments or something else can help you to produce data that can be monetized. So this could be an answer, but so I think you should be able to produce a clear requirement, identify your business case form, in the term that you should be able to understand what projects will be impacted, how the amount of the return and the business process impact. Then you have to should be able also to control the quality of data. So you should work in quality assurance in order to make a conform the level of quality with the specific requirement of the business process.
And that's not always easy. I think companies need more people like you, Stefano, to be able to put that business case together and provide the value of data.
There is different people that should be involved. A person that you should identify the data as something that you will produce, a data factory. And you should be able to evaluate, measure the value of data, to create a data product, and to able to sell internally the data.
Yeah, this is easy when there is a company that's born data-centric, for example. But the problem is when there is a traditional company. Try to do this.
I think you should start with the quality assurance. So I think you should start with this fundamentally.
Okay, in my humble opinion, George, I will say that I will following the idea of Stefano. I will try to find some use case in which a specific use case, just one, which is very specific, the most simple we can, okay, but adding the most value. So starting with the first point, okay, just focus on this, concentrate on that, and after that, when you're success with this, I think that then they will see the benefits, and after that you are implementing and going so on. But the first thing is the beginning, the first step, and the first step is to find out a business case, which is simple, but it's very powerful, okay? Like a forecast, or you're optimizing our house, or these kind of things, okay? I think that this for me is the first point.
Yeah, I would agree to that. It is all about identifying business value of information and data. If you can somehow stitch that together, people normally buy into the data project. So if you think of identify those key projects, but also having to bring a data culture into a traditional organization, which
this is a challenge.
It's a challenge, but I have experienced even in that world. you can play a role as a crusader. You almost have to tell a data story because it's a complex story. So you need to tell the story, which is to non-technology people, to if you show that if you do these projects, then it will be cheaper, faster, better. If it will, you will have a better customer connections. You will have a better operation. You will have a better product delivery. The story needs to be told in the language which is not in the ones and zeros and the data way. It needs to be business language. And normally the C-suites of people, the business in a traditional organization understand the business language. If you say, I'm going to get you 10% growth, every business guy will agree to fund you, provided you give it that. And so forth. So you need to tell the story as the business story, not as a data story. That's, I think, the key thing and having that KPI, which is not a data KPI, it's a business KPI. If we do this project, it's going to give you or save something or give you growth. Either way, you need to tell the story in that way.
Yes, and when I face this kind of problems, I used a lot agile methodology, because that way, we are always giving feedback about the project. This is a small project to the customers and talking the same language in the KPI business. So they are seeing the evolution, they are understanding, and this way you are training them, so you are maturing them at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that there is no winning formula. There is no winning formula. This is a key point of this question, because you can start with a large company with a good data stored, but no analytics people inside. So they have to use people from other companies or consultant or so on. So or smaller company that start to try to be a data-driven company that during the months understand that there's not the good choice because they have not the key points and so on. So it's not so easy. I think that it's possible to consider a limited data set to start and then grow, because if you don't have a KPI, you can grow and create a new process and a new projects. So this is key points.
And I think the one of the biggest problems is, and challenges really, is proving that value, because in many times it's a potential value that your project is bringing, and you have to first invest, go down the path, and realize, is it actually the value that we promised that we're going to bring? But in some cases, and Prity, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially in machine learning, AI projects, not everything really goes to its end or the way it was desired. There are a lot of challenges along the way. And sometimes they fail. It takes you on a path that you are realizing, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have gone that way. It's not bringing us the value that we wanted, but is it still worth to try? And my question then is, should management have a higher threshold for failure when it comes to advanced analytics, and just be more keen on investing, even though there is a chance that it might not pan out? But if they're not, it's kind of playing the lottery. Well, maybe we'll find a better analogy, because playing the lottery is a very low chance of winning. But I think you get my point.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point there, George. The point is not data. I go back to my first point. Data and an organization like analytics or machine learning team are not outside of the business. As a business, if you do not have the appetite to fail first and learn first, you will not support a data team. As a business, you will try to create a new product. You may try to hire a new person. It's the same way you will try, and machine learning or data science is not a separate thing. That is the first thing, right? If an organization is failure prone, they don't want to fail, they will never try anything. And so that is one point. The second thing is, data projects are complex. It takes time. And what you want to do is create proof of value. We do not engage at Cognino with any organization who wants to just say, can you come and create some magic overnight and magic will happen because it's artificial intelligence. Those who don't understand, we take them through a proper education process. What is possible, what is not possible, what is real, what is dream, what is Alexa, what you hear is all false, and what is not. We go through that because it is important that the organization have built some muscles and understanding of this new paradigm, this new thing about advanced analytics and machine learning and so on and so forth, so that they know what works, what doesn't work, where you need human ingenuity, where you need data governance, where you need data quality. Because if you have crap data, don't expect artificial intelligence will change your world, right? So it's education process is second, and the third thing is create small proof of value, rather try to create a big project. So proof of value is like looking to test the SpaceX. We are not going to land into Mars one night. There are 3 rockets have been blasted in last 4 months, which didn't take off more than 1 kilometer. But so it is about proof of value and iteratively continue to test the theory before you invest a lot of money. So those are the kind of few points I would add.
Very good points. Thank you. So why don't we go a little bit more in depth with some of these questions, step into the advanced analytics world. And, for those of you that have succeeded and have worked in a medium where advanced analytics is the norm, it's really well defined and established, it's providing value, or even those that are trying or haven't stepped into that yet, what do you think that data science team, that advanced analytics team should look like? How should it be structured in order to be most successful?
So first of all, the most important make doing the things right. There is a lot of company that have seen up data scientist with Avidata, or having this is a data lake. Please work on that. But I know a lot of data scientists frustrated about this situation. They come in companies, the company don't have a data quality, don't have nothing, and it's the same like if you want a front end tools, the ancient one, for example, I don't know. So business analytics, I don't know, without having a data warehouse, without having the data is structured. No, it is the same. It's not enough to have a data lake and data scientists to have some conclusion in that data. You need to understand better your assets, your data assets. You have be sure about the quality of this data before to play with data with the data scientist. This is, I think, this the problem.
Right. So we need to invest in our infrastructure. We need to invest in data governance, its quality, and make sure that when the data scientists are coming in, they have the playground to play into.
Yeah. Because I don't know in United States, but in Spain it's typical. They I have understand that we need the data scientist. Choose one, take one. Okay, this is my data lake. Please tell me some conclusion. The data scientist is not launch, map, reduce, and understand the business. So you have to be sure before your business model to make the just question to have the correct answer. This is the most the problem of the lack of the data scientist. Not in Spain. I think that it's maybe in United States.
I think it's worldwide.
It's a global problem.
Yeah,
I think is not able to understand. As I said, it is a data is not outside of a company. So if you need to think of what is your maturity level in data as a C-suite of people. If I am a CEO or a CIO, I am trying to do something around data. you first take an assessment. Where do I sit in terms of indexing, right? And there are enough methodology to find whether your maturity of data, where you stand, whether you have the right culture, people, process, etc. So get some feeling about it. Then, and you don't need to spend a lot of money for that. You can use common sense to, while you can hire McKinsey for that, you don't need that. You can really create that metrics of where do you stand, and then create some comparative metrics. Where does other guys, those are in your business. There's no point overnight I want to be an Amazon like data culture, but if I am doing in manufacturing or retail or whatever industry you are in, what is your peer group looks like, right? Have some understanding of that, and then think of the team that you want to have and how much empowerment you are giving to this team, because this is going to be the middleware for the organization going forward. So how much empowerment you are giving, and what is important, what is priority, what is a science project, what is can be R&D project. R&D project, let them play for more than 2 years, right? But if your priority project goes as a data scientist, because we know data scientists, I've been one of them, can go crazy also. So you need to have that discipline to have. So empowerment and discipline is something, and having a status quo and having an ambition. Where do you want to go? Right? Where do you want this to go going forward? Is it going to be from my supply chain to customer acquisitions to operations to product development? Everywhere I want to infuse data culture, then here is my roadmap. So I think this is a very setting this groundwork is very important before jumping into and hiring people. Let's hire some chief data officer and we'll run some magic and it'll work. It won't work like that.
So then would you say that the data scientist, maybe as a function, needs to reside under a particular business unit or be under its own umbrella, or a mix, or have a data scientist under each, again, function?
I think it should be a federated ecosystem so that data is everybody's business. If you make as a centralized team and this person and that person, you lose out the functions. If you look into very, very large data companies, where, if you think of petabytes of data they produce over every second, data is never centralized. It's decentralized team. You have a practice like a chief data office or something, which is a practice, but they are borrowed to every team. It's a decentralized team, and data is everybody's KPI. So each business unit own that, and IT is just supporting. IT is just infrastructure. IT shouldn't be the owner of the data science ever. That is a worst thing to happen.
Okay, in my opinion, I think that should be centralized, just because the data science that we have right now in the market are a few. There are not too much. The questions that they are asking, and we are thinking about that they need more knowledge, and it's difficult to define user cases. So I think that they should be just a few. And of course they should be in the middle of the business, of the core business, okay, and understand which is the business, to speak just the business language as not mathematical or IT language, okay. So that's the reason I think that they should be centralized, okay, and giving service for all the company and reporting directly to the CEO. And other thing I would like to say is that perhaps sometimes you are thinking in hiring, but the strategy of having this service outsourced, okay, sometimes it's better, because then you can code with a consultant, and this consultant can have several profiles, okay, which in many cases is you need different profiles. So if you hire and you centralize these people, imagine that you have one person, two people, okay, then they have to have a great parity, a great parity of knowledge, okay? And sometimes they lack some knowledge, they have to train, and this is a bit slow. So if you call with a great consultant, okay, if you need some ETL, for example, or you need to cleanse in some data, okay, you can take this profile, do this job, and then continue with your data science job.
Very interesting. So we've heard federated, we've heard centralized.
This is a perfect. Sorry.
I have a suggestion before. For me, it should be focused better. Independently of the structure, I think that what are the need for a data science team? I think you need the communication part. For me, is fundamental. Even could be also the data scientist, but the skill should be storyteller. Should be the need of someone that is able to explain the need and how to solve it. I think it is strategic to be effective. Then yes, you need a good data scientist, a very good data engineering, and a price analyst to understand, to study the ROI of the initiative, and a manager that connect everything. But I think, as I said, the storyteller is fundamental, because we are discussing from a lot of time that IT and business is not connected. So the key point is the storyteller, and the storyteller is basing his discussion on the return of the investment. At the end, what business want to understand, want to know, is how much this investment produce in terms of money.
Yeah, and that's a great skill to have, regardless if you're in the data field or in IT or in the business. Storytelling, it's the skill that we should all invest into. Yes, Gigi, you wanted to chime in?
Yeah. I saw that in the past. It's an old story. It's an old story. IT doesn't speak the same language as the business and so on. But I think that's the data. If you want to create a data-driven company, you have to change the minds, because it's not about technology. It's about data. And you can choose one of the many companies around to use the right tools for you. No? So there are a lot of companies that has consult or Diama or ADM. They can help you to solve your problem. So you have. It's not as the same in the past, that you have one choice and you go straight on it. You can choose the right things in the right way very quickly. So the cloud is enabled with this, and I think that this is a time of changing on the business. It's not easy to understand. It's not easy to understand for the old companies, but it's also not easy to understand for the startups. They start with an idea, but they not understood where is going on this idea. So this is a good point, but you have the help around surrounding the company, and so this is my opinion.
So that's a very good point, and it raises the fact that all the options are really dependent on the size of the company, the culture, but above all, maybe the maturity model and the level that you're at in that maturity model. And things can change depending on how you're progressing. Yeah,
it's true what I said, Stefano, about storytelling, because you need to facilitate in the C levels to change. but it's one of the key points of data-driven company or analytics, if you need analytics or so. So it's one of these points.
Absolutely.
And it's important.
And I hope Stefano will be back here because I'm really value his opinion on this. But what do you all think then the relationship becomes between data analytics and the more traditional business intelligence function?
Okay, in my opinion, both disciplines are complementary, totally complementary. One, you are getting some insightful and a description of the data that you have, and the other you can predict and do other functionalities and another model. So they should be very close. And the main manufacturers like Microsoft with Power BI, with the latest license he's launching to the market, Microsoft is pushing a lot to incorporate all the machine learning inside of the Power BI. So all the main software is pushing us to also to incorporate in business intelligence, incorporate all the AI. Okay, so for me they are complementary, and the market is pushing, and the main manufacturers of the software are pushing us. So okay, very close.
What do you think, Prity? Do you think the two worlds between BI and analytics will start blending more and more?
I think if you ask me, you won't have these questions in 5 years' time. Even this is just a transition period. There will be just one group of people who will be adverse, who needs to be versed with the business, needs to tell the story, but also have the acumen to understand and translate the data. And you will see more and more of the complexity of this data, and data wrangling will be taken over by tools like, as Javier said, about something like Power BI, where the tool does a lot of things. So you don't need deeper technologist all the time. You need storyteller, the business who understand, business people who understand data and know the meaning of value and so on and so forth. So what I call kind of a citizen data science will grow out of this, where you can interact with the data not in the Python language, but in normal language, let's say, right? So you don't need, so there'll be a blurry of that. And in 5 years' time, it becomes almost like everybody can do a lot of things, which is only centralized right now with some group of people.
So then with all these upcoming modern tools and solutions on data virtualization, for example, do we see the role of the data engineer, the ETL developer, slowly fading away by putting all these in the hands of the data scientist and really bypassing the need to go through a human to have to do all of that? Yeah.
So right now, if you want to, don't have time, I would have shown you, but I can show you the raw data in billions of lines of data, real time, how an artificial intelligence can translate that and create cluster, tag automatically, nobody is tagging, and understand every bit of information and create relationship out of it. We don't need RDBMS builders, relational time, going back to what we used to do, right? It's all can be done by AI by looking into raw data, unformatted, dirty. It can bring gold out of it and bring structure into it. So you don't need all those steps which we are familiar for last many years. Is all going to kind of evaporate over a period of time, and you all will have, as a citizen data science, ability to engage with the data in natural language, if you say so. Even the SQL is going to go. You will have a natural language to talk. You can ask what was my cells like or will be like, all that is already happening. In our tool, we have that. You can ask our engine in Cognino, and the engine tells you what we call conversational insight. So you don't write SQL, you just ask, you know.
That's interesting. I've seen some demos with the GPT-3 engine, and it's fantastic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah.
Regarding George, regarding to the aspect of relationship between data governance, data scientists, data virtualization, there is one key point that is the ability to make a pilot test, POC. So there is a team of the governed self-service BI. I don't think that there is more need of a specialist of business intelligence, but someone that is able to analyze what the user is doing, being able to promote promote report, transform this in a standard report. So this is the capability. This started a lot of time ago when it was in MicroStrategy, 2012. No, not so much. MicroStrategy Barcelona spoke about governance service BI. And I think everything is going in this situation. Let the user, let the business produce something, and then the data department, the specialist, the business intelligence specialist, transform it to something more structured, more performant. I don't know if I said something that
regarding data virtualization, I think that it's not an hype. It's the future, because why you need to move data? If you can move queries, you can rest, the data can rest in the source. You simply make a query, have an answer, and you can, in the case you want to crystallize the moment, you can do that. But I think it's in my case, in my work, in my day work, I don't use data warehouses anymore, for example, because the data is still in the source font. I just make some joins in my data virtualization tool. I have the possibility to exploit directly for in the front end without make any ETL, without making not mounting any OLAP cubes, you know. So that direct. I think that this is the future. Is a revolution in that architecture. I think if you make this and put the semantic possibility of to tagging the things the Prity said before, to make automatic tracking of some tagging about some value. If you can do it using a natural language, this is open a lot of possibility in the future for analytics.
I agree with you, Michele, but what about the performance? I think that you should be able to produce some test laboratory test.
It's real time, Stefano, because normally this type of tools has a columnar extractor of database inside. Second is they can make a cluster in Spark, for example. If you do that, you need to do that for 4 billions of rows. They can do in second, because you can open a cluster with the solution and have the possibility to do it practically in real time. And other things, when you design the connection, it's not necessary to carry out all the databases. You need maybe only 2 or 3 tables, 2 or 3 data. You can ability some cache. At the end, you can drive perfectly, and not necessary to. But I understand some company want to crystallize this in data warehousing. It's possible with Spark.
I don't think it's just a problem of crystallizing. It's a problem of with the virtualization, you have the opportunity to test what you want immediately. So imagine the time, so the cost of the time to create, to make this laboratory POC. This allow you to save
make
money.
an integration service process. You need to build the data warehouses. You need to build some molecules. In the case of virtualization, you don't have this. I agree with you that it's a POC facilitator, but you can make all the data architecture virtualizing. I have a lot of examples of a lot of companies. Government, for example, Estonia is a typical case in Europe about that. The police department has its databases. The citizen is in the center, is the proprietary of data. It's possible to cross data, but police can see, for example, the health data, but the citizen can do that because citizen can see the police data, but they don't build any data warehouses. Simply send me some queries in a Windows and have the results.
So do you think that the open data that is coming on the European Union? So I think this is a good point, Michele, but also Stefano, it's true when you said that you need to try in local. So the faces are the same problem.
Absolutely. And it's a nice model that the UK government, the US government have taken a few years ago, and it's proven to be successful to put the data in the hands of its citizens. So there's definitely a lot of benefits there for companies to be able to take advantage of it. So we are approaching an end here. Thank you so much, everybody, for your participation. I do encourage everybody that attended to get in touch with one another on LinkedIn and perhaps continue some of these conversations there too. But now I think we'll be moving on to the main session in just a few seconds.
Yeah, we need to return in main session. After that, is it possible to make group dynamics, other breakout like yesterday, and maybe some of us is possible to join or not. This is a surprise. And we continue with the group dynamics. After the group dynamics will be a little break, and we start with the Cesar Pecha-Roman speech about MDM. Okay, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.